Habibi gang, picture this. 88th minute at Old Trafford. Semenyo just slides in, Bournemouth third goal.
Wow.
The silence.
Yeah.
It was deafening. Not the Christmas gift Man U fans were hoping for.
I mean, it's truly shocking, isn't it? Bournemouth getting that 3-0 victory at Old Trafford for 2 seasons in a row.
Right.
It's almost statistically impossible to do that in the Premier League.
You always hear that lightning doesn't strike twice. But, I mean, here we are.
Yeah.
It really does highlight those Man U struggles this season.
Yeah.
And I think one of their weaknesses is definitely those set pieces.
And speaking of that, Bison's goal from that Chrissy free kick, just that perfectly illustrates their vulnerability. They've now conceded 9 goals.
Wow.
From set pieces. Excluding penalties now. That's more than pretty much every other team in the league. And we saw that pregame footage, right? Of them practicing set piece defense.
Oh, with Carlos Fernandes.
With Carlos Fernandes. Makes you wonder what's going wrong there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Are they overthinking it?
Yeah.
Is there like a mental block when it comes to
maybe
set pieces? I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, it's putting immense pressure on Amorim.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Man U down at the bottom half of the table on Christmas Day.
I know.
First time in, 30 years?
Yeah, over 30 years.
It's got to be a tough pill to swallow.
Oh, for sure. For the manager, for the fans.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And you could see that frustration on Amorim's face.
Oh, absolutely.
Throughout that match.
Yeah.
And it's a worrying trend, isn't it? I mean, this is something that we've been seeing ever since the post-Ferguson era. Just that cycle of managers coming in, struggling to find that winning formula.
And it wasn't just the sidelines.
Oh.
I mean, even Bruno Fernandes.
No, come on.
5 attempts.
No.
First half. None of them on target.
No.
He almost seems like he's forcing it.
Desperately trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that performance really reflects a wider issue. With that Man U attack, they just lack that clinical edge. They get into the right positions.
Yeah.
But that decision-making in the final third is just letting them down.
Totally.
Now, you contrast that with Kluivert, with Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Clever to win that penalty. So cool, calm, and collected in converting it.
Yeah.
And that put Bournemouth 2-0 up. And
That's the turning point.
That was the turning point. You could feel it.
Oh, yeah.
The momentum shifted. Bournemouth's favor.
Yeah, and then Semenyo, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was a nail in the coffin finish for that third goal.
Unbelievable.
It was a testament to Bournemouth's efficiency,
Ruthless.
They were quick. They punished Man U.
Every time.
Every defensive lapse.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give Andoni Earl a credit for that.
Yeah.
That tactical setup, using the pace of Ouattara and Semenyo out on those flanks. It was perfect. Just exploiting those spaces behind Man U's wingbacks.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how the second and third goal happened.
Yeah, and let's dig into those tactics a bit. Amorim, he stuck with his 3-4-3 formation.
Yeah.
But it's debatable, isn't it? Whether it's actually working for this Man U squad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they struggle to retain possession.
They do.
Their defensive frailties, they're obvious.
Oh, for sure.
And like we've said, that finishing is lackluster.
Yeah, it begs the question, doesn't it? Is it the system that's the problem?
Yeah.
Or are the players just not executing it properly? He tried to change things up in that second half, brought on Garnacho and Højlund, tried to inject a bit of pace and energy into that attack.
Yeah.
But you could argue that backfired because Bournemouth scored those 2 quick goals.
Yeah, it just added insult to injury.
Yeah, it did.
But it's interesting because Lisandro Martinez, he came out post-match comments really upbeat.
Right.
Talking about the team's potential, the belief.
Yeah.
It seems a bit, I don't know.
Detached.
Yeah, from the reality of their situation, wouldn't you say?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, compare that to the fans. You could just feel the frustration.
Oh, yeah.
In the stands. And then Amorim, as well, his post-match press conference, openly admitting to the nervousness within the team.
Right.
And he put it down to the pressure and expectations that come with playing for a club of Man U's stature.
So he's almost saying that the weight of history is a burden.
Yeah, more of a burden than a source of inspiration.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fascinating psychological aspect, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The pressure of wearing that Man U shirt, the fear of failure.
Absolutely.
At such a historic club.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that anxiety,
it's
creeping into their performance.
It could be.
Inhibiting that natural flair and confidence.
That natural confidence, yeah.
Now, we've talked about Fernandes.
Yeah.
But what about Kluivert?
Oh, Kluivert was a standout performer for Bournemouth. For sure. A constant menace. And not just because of the penalty he won and converted. I mean, his movement off the ball, his link-up play with Solanke and Semenyo, his ability to just find those pockets of space between Man U's defenders.
Yeah.
He was a real handful.
Yeah.
I mean, Iraola clearly trusts him
to
play that key role in their attack. And Kluivert repaid that faith in abundance.
Absolutely. And let's not forget Semenyo. I mean, that finish for the third goal was clinical.
It was.
Predatory almost.
It was.
He just seems to have this knack, doesn't he?
He does.
Of being in the right place at the right time.
He's always there, isn't he?
Yeah.
And, his partnership with Ouattara on that counterattack, electric.
Great.
They were so dangerous, exploiting that high defensive line time and time again.
Right.
A real potent attacking weapon that Iraola has.
So we've analyzed the goals, the tactics, the performances.
Yeah.
But what does this result actually mean in the grand scheme of things?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think for Bournemouth, it's a massive statement. You know? To get a result against a team like Man U, that's one thing. But to dominate them so comprehensively at Old Trafford.
At Old Trafford.
It sends a message, doesn't it, to the rest of the league? They're not just there to survive.
Right.
They're aiming for something much bigger this season.
And for Man U, a bit of a reality check.
Mm-hmm.
This defeat just raises serious questions, doesn't it?
It does.
About their direction, their mentality, and whether Amorim can actually turn things around.
I think the honeymoon period is definitely over for Amorim. The fans, they're not happy.
Right.
The pressure's mounting. Yeah. He needs to find some solutions. And quickly, this result exposed those weaknesses.
Totally.
And if they don't address them soon, things could really spiral out of control.
Especially with that festive fixture list.
I know, it's brutal.
Coming up, it's make or break time for them, isn't it? To regroup, rediscover that form.
It is.
And start climbing back up that table.
Yeah, it's a pivotal moment for them. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
We'll have to see if they can rise to that challenge.
We will. Yeah. Now, let's go back to those tactical issues.
Okay.
Right? Because Bournemouth's high press.
Yes.
It was one of the keys to their success.
Oh, absolutely.
It forced Man U into making those hasty decisions.
Yeah, giving up possession in dangerous areas.
Yeah.
And you could see that especially in the build-up.
Oh, yeah.
To the second and third goals. It was...
Yeah, Man U's midfield just overwhelmed.
Completely overrun.
By that energy.
Yeah, the intensity. Yeah. They couldn't get any sort of rhythm going, couldn't control the tempo of the game.
Right.
And then defensively, that back line just looked disjointed, vulnerable to those quick counterattacks.
And, I think the absence of Varane is a big factor.
A huge factor.
I mean, his experience, composure, sorely missed. Without him, they just look shaky.
Oh.
Uncertain.
Yeah.
Especially when they had to deal with that pace and movement of Bournemouth's attackers.
Yeah, and speaking of Bournemouth's attackers, we haven't talked much about Solanke, but, I mean, she played a vital role in that victory.
Oh, he did.
That hold-up play was excellent.
It was.
Linking up brilliantly with Kluivert and Semenyo, creating space opportunities.
He was the unsung hero.
Yeah, I think so. He doesn't always get the headlines.
Yeah.
But such an intelligent player, selfless. His contribution was crucial.
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, that even though they were so good going forward, Bournemouth actually had less possession.
They did.
In Man U.
Which tells you everything you need to know about Iraola's game plan.
Yeah.
Efficiency. Making the most of those limited opportunities.
Yeah.
Classic counterattacking masterclass.
It was.
And it worked perfectly.
Perfectly. So if we were to give some constructive criticism to Amorim, what areas should he focus on in these coming weeks?
Well, first off, he needs to find a way to improve that midfield stability. They were overrun today.
Totally.
And that allowed Bournemouth to just dictate the pace and flow of the game.
Yeah.
So maybe a more defensively solid midfield pairing.
Right.
Give a bit more protection to that back four.
Okay. And secondly?
Secondly, they need to rediscover that clinical edge in the final third. Creating chances, but the finishing has been wasteful.
It has.
So maybe a change of personnel up front, or maybe a tactical tweak, something to encourage more direct attacking play.
Yeah.
Help them convert those opportunities into goals.
And finally,
they need to address that set-piece vulnerability.
It's killing them.
Oh, it's a recurring nightmare. It's costing them valuable points. They need to work on the organization, the communication, that concentration when defending set pieces.
It's a big challenge, but if he can fix those things,
oh, yeah,
there's no reason why they can't turn their season around.
Absolutely. They have the talent. They have the resources to compete at the very highest level. It's just about finding that right formula and instilling that belief and confidence back into the team.
Now, let's zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
This result has big implications.
Oh, guys.
For both these teams.
Sure.
In terms of the league table, Bournemouth.
Yeah.
This win propels them further up.
Oh, for sure.
Puts them within touching distance of those European places.
Yeah, they are exceeding expectations this season.
They are.
And, that performance today suggests they're not just a flash in the pan.
No.
They're playing with a swagger, a belief.
Right.
It's infectious.
And for Man U?
Oh, well, for Man U, this defeat leaves them languishing.
I know.
In the bottom half of the table, a far cry from those ambitions they had at the start of the season.
Yeah.
It just shows you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How quickly things can change.
In the Premier League.
In the Premier League.
Yeah.
You can't take anything for granted. You've got to be on it.
You do. We've talked a lot about the tactics, formations. But ultimately, this is a game of passion.
It is.
It's a game of desire.
A never say die attitude.
Right. And Man U, they need to rediscover that fighting spirit.
They do if they want to turn their fortunes around. They need to show the fans that they're hungry for that success, that they're willing to fight for every point.
Yeah.
They need to recapture that aura of invincibility that once made them such a formidable force.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to see how both teams respond to this in these coming weeks.
It will be.
Right. I mean, Bournemouth, they'll want to build on this.
Oh, for sure. Solidify their place in that top half of the table.
Yeah. And Man U, desperate to bounce back.
Oh, yeah.
And show that there's still a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
It's all to play for in the Premier League, and that's what makes it so compelling, isn't it?
That's it. We're in for a thrilling ride, and I, for one, can't wait to see how it unfolds.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Into a truly remarkable match.
Oh, yeah.
Bournemouth's victory over Man U.
At Old Trafford.
At Old Trafford.
It's a story of tactical brilliance, individual brilliance, that collective spirit.
It's a match that'll be remembered for a long time.
It will be.
And it just shows you that in the Premier League, anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
And that is why we love this beautiful game.
It is. Yeah, it really is. I mean, the pressure of wearing that shirt, the fear of failure at a club like Man U, I mean, maybe that anxiety is creeping into their performances, inhibiting that natural flair and confidence.
Possibly, yeah. Now, we talked about Fernandez's struggles. What about Kluivert? Standout performer for Bournemouth, right?
Oh, absolutely. Kluivert was a constant menace, and not just because of that penalty he won and converted. His movement off the ball, his link-up play with Solanke and Semenyo, his ability to find those pockets of space between Man U's defenders. He was a real handful. Uraola clearly trusts him with that key role in the attack, and Kluivert repaid that faith in spades.
And let's not forget Semenyo. That finish for the third goal was clinical, almost predatory.
It was, wasn't it?
He just seems to have that knack of being in the right place at the right time.
He does. Always there. And that partnership with Ouattara on the counterattack. Electric.
Oh, yeah.
So dangerous on the break. Exploiting that high defensive line time and time again. Real potent attacking weapon that Iraola has at his disposal.
So we've analyzed the goals, the tactics, the stand-up performances. But what does this result actually mean for both teams? Like, big picture.
Well, for Bournemouth, it's a massive statement. To get a result against Man U, that's one thing. But to dominate them so comprehensively at Old Trafford sends a message to the rest of the league. They're not just there to survive, they're aiming for something much bigger this season.
And Man U. It's got to be a reality check. This defeat raises a lot of questions about their direction, their mentality, and, whether Amorim can turn things around.
The honeymoon period is over. The fans are not happy. The pressure is mounting. He needs to find solutions quickly because that result exposed all those weaknesses. And if they don't address them, things could spiral out of control.
Especially with that festive fixture list looming, right? It's make or break time. They've got to regroup, rediscover their form, and start climbing back up that table.
It is a pivotal moment. We'll have to see if they can rise to the challenge. Now, going back to the tactical issues. Bournemouth's high press. One of the keys to their success.
Oh, for sure.
It forced Man U into those hasty decisions. giving up possession in those dangerous areas. And you could see that, especially in the build-up to the second and third goals.
Man U's midfield was just completely overwhelmed by Bournemouth's energy, their intensity. They couldn't build any rhythm, couldn't control the tempo of the game. And then defensively, their backline just looked so disjointed, so vulnerable to those quick counterattacks.
Yeah, and I think the absence of Varane was a huge factor. His experience, his composure was sorely missed. Without him, they just looked shaky, uncertain, especially when dealing with the pace and movement of Bournemouth's attackers.
Yeah, and speaking of Bournemouth's attackers, we haven't said much about Solanke.
Oh, yeah, he played a vital role in that victory.
He did.
His hold-up play was excellent, linking up brilliantly with Kluivert and Semenyo, creating space, opportunities.
He was kind of the unsung hero.
I think so, yeah. Doesn't always grab the headlines, but such an intelligent player, selfless. His contribution was crucial to Bournemouth's success.
And it's interesting to note that, despite all that attacking prowess, Bournemouth actually had less possession than Man U.
They did.
So it seems like Iraola's game plan was all about efficiency, making the most of those limited opportunities.
Exactly, making the most of those chances. It was a classic counterattacking masterclass. It worked perfectly.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
So some constructive criticism for Amorim. What areas should he prioritize in the coming weeks?
Well, first off, he needs to find a way to improve that midfield stability. They were overrun today, and that allowed Bournemouth to dictate the pace and flow of the game. So maybe a more defensively solid midfield pairing would give more protection to that back four.
Okay. Secondly,
they need to rediscover that clinical edge in the final third. They are creating chances, but that finishing has been wasteful. So maybe a change of personnel up front or a tactical tweak to encourage more direct attacking play, help them convert those opportunities into goals.
And
finally, they need to address that set piece vulnerability. It's a recurring nightmare. It's costing them valuable points. They need to work on their organization, their communication, and their concentration when defending set pieces.
It's a big challenge, but if he can fix those things,
yeah,
there's no reason why they can't turn their season around.
Absolutely. They have the talent, they have the resources to compete at the very highest level. It's just about finding that right formula and instilling that belief and confidence back into the team.
Now let's zoom out a little bit. This result has huge implications for both these teams in terms of the league table.
Huge, yeah.
Bournemouth, this win propels them further up the table, puts them within touching distance of those European places.
They are exceeding expectations this season, and that performance today suggests they're not just a flash in the pan, they're playing with a swagger, a belief.
Yeah.
It's infectious.
And for Man U, this defeat leaves them languishing in the bottom half of the table. Far cry from those ambitions they had at the start of the season.
It just shows you how quickly things can change in the Premier League. You can't take anything for granted. You got to be on it.
You do. We've talked a lot about tactics, formations, but ultimately this is a game of passion. It's a game of desire.
A never say die attitude.
Right. And Man U need to rediscover that fighting spirit.
They do. If they want to turn their fortunes around, they need to show the fans they're hungry for that success, that they're willing to fight for every point. They need to recapture that aura of invincibility that once made them such a formidable force.
It's going to be fascinating to see how both these teams respond to this in these coming weeks.
It will.
Bournemouth will want to build on this momentum, solidify their place in that top half of the table, and Man U, desperate to bounce back and show that they're still a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
It's all to play for in the Premier League, and that's what makes it so compelling.
That's it. We're in for a thrilling ride. I, for one, can't wait to see how it unfolds.
This has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Into a truly remarkable match. Bournemouth's victory over Man U, at Old Trafford no less, is a story of tactical brilliance, individual brilliance, and that collective spirit.
A match that will be remembered for a long time. And it just shows you in the Premier League, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. And that's why we love this beautiful game. Yeah, it's safe to say Bournemouth threw a wrench in all the festive season predictions. I don't think anyone had them pegged for a top 4 spot.
No.
But they're playing.
Yeah.
Like they really believe it.
With that confidence, that swagger of a team that thinks they can achieve something special.
It really is a testament to Iraola's management, though.
It is. He's instilled this real sense of belief purpose
Right.
in that Bournemouth squad. They're not just a collection of talented individuals. They're a unit,
Yeah.
a team,
Big team, yeah.
greater than the sum of its parts.
And meanwhile, Man U is left picking up the pieces after this defeat. You have to wonder, was this the wake-up call they needed?
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes you need to hit rock bottom before you can start climbing back up. And I mean, it's still Manchester United, right? A club with history.
Yeah.
A squad full of talent.
Yeah, but talent alone doesn't win trophies.
No,
They need to rediscover that hunger
the fighting spirit.
that's been missing.
Yeah, for far too long.
They need to find a way to use that pressure,
Right.
channel it,
Yeah, use it as fuel.
as fuel
Yeah.
to drive them forward.
Well, Habibi gang, this has been a deep dive
It has.
into a match that will for sure have a lasting impact
Oh, yeah.
on both clubs. I mean, Bournemouth's win over Man U
At Old Trafford.
at Old Trafford
No less.
is a testament to their tacticalness.
Oh, for sure. Their
Yeah.
individual brilliance, that unwavering team spirit.
Yeah, it's a reminder that in this league, the underdogs can bite back
Absolutely.
and that no team is invincible.
No one is safe.
And that's why we love it, right?
That's why. The unpredictable nature of the Premier League. The drama, the passion,
The spectacle.
the spectacle.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, Habibi gang. Be sure to tune in for the next episode of the Pundit Habibi podcast later today. We'll have more football analysis and discussion for you then. Until then, stay passionate, stay informed, and most importantly, stay Habibi.